In this video audit, I will be assessing the walkability, food options and places to socialise in the ACT suburb of Chisholm. The aim of this audit is to assess how the built environment of Chisholm impacts health and to identify areas for improvement. The auditing tools used to guide this assessment are the Hart Foundation's Neighbourhood-walkability checklist, along with sections 5 and 6 of the Healthy Planning mini audit. The journey undertaken is approximately 2.8 kilometres from Deema Crescent to the Chisholm Village Shopping Centre. Section 1 of the route ends at the Caroline Chisholm Playground, where the first road crossing over Hackney Crescent occurs. On the way to Chisholm Village, we'll go via an alternate Section 2 route through the Simpsons Hill Nature Reserve and past the Tuggeranong Schoolhouse. Section 3 of the route goes through a central laneway to the bus stop. Section 4 is on a footpath alongside the road to Chisholm Village. The route home will follow the same sections with one difference. In Section 2, instead of returning over Simpsons Hill, we'll take the shorter route down another laneway. The laneway under Deema Crescent is just over 1 metre wide, allowing single direction traffic from pedestrians, bicycles, prams and wheelchairs. However, the access to this laneway from the nearest bus stop is up and down a steep overgrown ramp, which would make pram or wheelchair entry unsafe. This path heads up to the Caroline Chisholm Park, which has play equipment and a few chairs shaded by some large trees. However, there are no bins, tables or public bathrooms, and this park gets only occasional use. Between 3:30 and 4 on this particular afternoon, there are no children in sight. Note that neither dogs or smoking are permitted within 10 metres of the play equipment. Section 2 of the route takes us through the Simpsons Hill Nature Reserve. This reserve has a 1.4 kilometre loop around the hill with entries from 7 different points around Chisholm. There is also a path over the hill which has benches, information markers and great views of the Brindabellas. There's also an Anzac Memorial. I often see people use this area for exercise and to let their dogs off the leash. Leaving the hill, we pass the historic Tuggeranong Schoolhouse and walk along the road to the third section of our route. This section takes us up the laneway that separates the suburbs of Chisholm and Gilmore. This laneway is wider than the one where we started, allowing for comfortable side-by-side pedestrian or bicycle traffic. For prams and wheelchairs, however, the path is less accessible, especially as many of the entry points are poorly maintained or too steep. While pleasantly shaded, this path has no places to rest or seek shelter from the rain. The path also lacks other facilities such as exercise equipment, which could help to increase the opportunities to be active in a green outdoor setting. The fourth section of our route is on a footpath along one of the main roads through Chisholm. I generally choose to walk on this side of the street as the footpath is set further back. After a fourth road crossing, we arrive at Chisholm Village. At Chisholm Village, there are 2 major supermarkets, Coles and Aldi, a small playground, public bathrooms, a gym and several food outlets. While we're here, we will do an assessment of the food options and public meeting places. There are a range of food options and several places to buy salads, including Coles, Subway and the takeaway shop. The cheapest one I could find was $6 from Coles. Other than Simpsons Hill, Chisholm has few quality outdoor meeting places. While there are a lot of green areas and laneways, they lack the facilities to encourage people to stop and use them. Chisholm Village does offer the opportunities for incidental meetings in supermarkets, cafes and the park, but its position between busy car parks does not encourage prolonged use of the space. As we head back, the time is around 5:30 on a June evening. This would be the soonest that I would generally get back from work and have the time to exercise or walk to the shops. The section of the route along the road feels somewhat less safe at this time of day, although there is a fairly constant stream of traffic and often people in their front yards. Down the first section of laneway, what was shade has now become deep shadows with the occasional lamp. The second section of laneway, which replaces the route over Simpsons Hill, feels the most unsafe, as there are no lights, no cars, rarely other people, and high fences to the surrounding houses. The final set of crossings takes us past the unlit park and through a final dark section of laneway to our starting point. Now that we have completed the walk, let's recap by going through the Hart Foundation's Neighbourhood-walkability checklist. In the first section, Walker Friendliness, we have a score of 5 out of 8, noting that the lack of bins, monotony of street frontages, and underuse of these laneways detracts from their friendliness. Section 2, Comfort, gets the worst score with only a conditional score of 3. For those with prams or wheelchairs, the design of this built environment is hostile. The feeling of safety depends on the time of day. After dark, the built environment creates long sections of unlit public space. There are also 4 road crossings required to reach Chisholm Village, and none of these are zebra crossings. This section scores 4 to 5 out of 9. The fourth section, Convenience and Connectedness, scores a 5 out of 6. While signage and a dog off-leash park are provided, many of the laneways do not connect to each other, and the shortest routes along these laneways often feel the most unsafe as they are not well used. The final score is 14 to 17 out of 30, depending on the conditions. This means Chisholm needs some work to make it more walk-friendly. The outcome of this audit highlights 3 potential levels of planning to improve the walkability of Chisholm. The first level would be the addition of amenities such as benches, rain shelters, water fountains, bathrooms, and lighting. This would get Chisholm well within the walkable category of this checklist. However, these additions will only have a restricted impact if the areas in which they are placed are not well connected. The second level would be improving connection between the different suburb components. For example, this map shows the entry points to Simpsons Hill, Chisholm's largest green space. These circles show a 400 metre radius from each entry point. The combined shape demonstrates the approximate area in which the main users of this green space might be expected to live. If we show the entries to Simpsons Hill, with the key laneways through Chisholm, we can see that they do not work well in tandem to bring people along active green spaces to the main central active green space. We can also see that Chisholm Village is not connected to these key pedestrian routes, but rather to the pedestrian route running through the neighbouring suburb of Gilmore. These areas of disconnect demonstrate the need for a layer of planning beyond the additional amenities. To support more active behaviours, these larger components need to be properly synchronised with entry points and connections that promote regular and inclusive usage. The third level would see laneways become social places in addition to functional paths. Instead of overgrown, deserted and unsafe, these spaces could encourage residents to use this public green space instead of just walking through it. By exploring the current state of walkability, food options and places to socialise in Chisholm, I hope that this audit has demonstrated Chisholm's potential to become a suburb which can promote healthy and active lives.